It always starts the same way. You hear a woman crying, but something feels wrong. You're 3 streets from home. The street lamp behind you flickers, buzzes, and gives up. Not broken, just tired of staying lit on this particular stretch of road. Ahead, the last part of the walk is unlit, lined with old trees whose branches meet overhead like fingers laced together, blotting out whatever moon there was tonight. Your grandmother used to say, never linger under these trees after the sun goes down. She never said why. Everyone here learns the rule before they're old enough to argue with it. Then you hear it, a cry, drifting out from somewhere deep in the branches, long, mournful, almost like a woman's voice pulled thin across the wind. It sounds far away. Good. Far means safe. You keep walking. There's a rule parents teach their children before they even learn how to read, exactly as it was handed to you as a child. Half warning, half game. If you heard that cry out in the woods, your survival instinct would tell you to run. It sounds terrifying, but here is the first rule of survival in Indonesia. If the crying is loud, you are safe. It means she is far away, still waiting in the trees. But if the sound is faint and goes soft, if it suddenly feels like it's right beside your ear, barely a whisper against your ear, do not move. Do not turn around, because it means she is already close enough to touch you. She doesn't walk, she doesn't chase, she waits. And when you finally realize where the sound is coming from, it's already too late. The proximity paradox. Loud is safe, soft is not. Never forget the rule. Nobody ever explains why it works this way. Nobody has to. You've known it as long as you've known your own name. Tonight the cry starts loud, distant, easy to ignore. Then halfway down the dark stretch, it changes. It goes soft, impossibly soft, and impossibly close. Like it's coming from just behind your left ear, close enough that you swear you can feel warm breath on your skin. You don't run. Something older than fear tells you running is the wrong move. So you walk faster instead, eyes forward, and you don't check what's behind you. You don't check at all. Halfway up your street, a smell reaches you. Before you understand you're smelling anything at all. Jasmine, thick and sweet, completely out of season, coming from no flower your eyes can find. It's intoxicating. It should be comforting. Flowers usually are. But slowly, within minutes, the floral scent rots. It turns into the pungent, iron-heavy stench of dried blood and decaying flesh, except the smell gets stronger the closer you get to your own front door, as though it isn't drifting on the wind at all, but following the exact path you're walking, one step behind you. By the time your key finds the lock, the sweetness has curdled into something else. Something wet and coppery, the smell of meat left out too long in the heat. You don't stop to work out where it's coming from. You go inside. You lock the door behind you, and you stand there a moment with your back against it, breathing. You tell yourself it's over. It is not. I want you to try something. Just for a moment, take your eyes off the screen and look at the door to your room. Is it closed? Good. Now, listen closely. They say she appears where memories refuse to die. Old houses, abandoned places, under trees that have stood for too long. Somewhere down the street, a dog starts barking, not at a passing car, not at another dog, at nothing you can see, and it's barking in the direction of your house. It doesn't stop. You check the windows, locked. You check the bedroom door, locked. You tell yourself a cry in the trees, and a strange smell, and a dog barking at nothing don't add up to anything at all. Then you hear it again, soft, close, not from outside anymore. The people who taught you the rule about the cry have a name for whatever makes that sound. And they say it the way you'd mention a relative nobody likes to bring up at dinner. The Kuntilanak. She isn't a story invented to scare children into behaving. She's the reason an entire country still locks its windows after dark. A habit so old, nobody can trace where it started. And by the time most people learn her name, they've usually already met her rule the hard way. Through a cry that turned from loud to soft while they weren't paying attention. When the Western world thinks of ghosts, they think of the theatrical, spirits that crawl out of televisions, or demons that throw furniture across the room. But true terror doesn't need to announce itself. True terror just waits. Before children in Indonesia even learn how to read, they are taught an unwritten law. When the sun goes down, you go inside. You lock the doors, and you ignore the sounds coming from the trees. They are hiding from the Kuntilanak. She doesn't run. She doesn't chase you. She uses human curiosity against you. First, she captures your attention with an auditory illusion, a trick of the mind. You hear a wail in the distance, and your brain tells you there is a woman in danger. You step off the path. You walk toward the sound. And by the time you realize the rules of the proximity paradox, it's already too late. To understand how to survive her, you must understand what created her. She wasn't always a monster. Some believe she was once human. Centuries ago, she was Kunti, A young woman walking home one night, much like tonight, when men who should have let her pass did not. A young woman betrayed by the very people meant to protect her. They won't even name what was taken from her. Only that something was. Something she never got the chance to speak of before it was too late to matter. What everyone agrees on. There was an old tree that stood witness to it and said nothing. A woman who suffered and was left alone when she needed help the most. There was rain that night, falling like it was trying to wash something away and failing. She survived what happened to her. That was supposed to be the hard part. It wasn't. What came after was worse. Instead of seeking justice, the authorities silenced her. They labeled her a sinner, stripped her of her home, and cast her out into the unforgiving wilderness. Whispers reached the whole village faster than the truth ever could. Doors that used to be open to her closed, one by one. The people who should have protected her decided it was easier to look away, and easiest of all to blame her for what had been done to her. She carried what she was carrying for as long as she could. She was entirely alone, carrying an unborn child she would never get to meet. She perished in the cold rain, no burial, no grave marker, just a profound, agonizing injustice. She never got a name for what came next. No blanket, no cradle, no stone with anything carved into it, marking that she had existed at all. Just an unmarked patch of earth. And a cry that started that same year, drifting out of the trees at night, for anyone still awake to hear. But the jungle didn't let her rest. The trauma of her final moments, the pain of a mother denied her child, shattered the boundary between the living and the dead. Her sorrow curdled into absolute rage. Her story was never heard, so now she makes sure you hear her. Today, she is deeply intertwined with Indonesian culture. She is their La Llorona, but far more psychological. She is drawn to what she was denied. That is why she specifically targets pregnant women or homes with newborns. It's a manifestation of her blinding jealousy. They say she is drawn to homes where new life is about to begin, not out of anger, but something else, something unfinished. She returns most often to people who have what she never got to keep, a pregnancy carried to its end, a child that survives its first night, its first breath. The old stories are careful here, not cruelty exactly, something closer to grief that curdled over years into hunger. People who encounter her often say the same thing. They feel watched, even when they're alone. Imagine you are a woman, 7 months along, alone in the house for the evening. The room is quiet, too quiet. You feel it before you can name it. The sense of being watched from a corner with nothing in it. You wake at 3 a.m. for no reason, 3 nights in a row. You feel something trace slowly across your stomach in a room where By every measure, you are alone. Then, a cool breeze from a window you know you locked, followed by a smell that isn't jasmine anymore. The story doesn't ask you to believe it's her. It only asks you to check the lock either way. The old advice is specific, and nobody in the village treats it as optional. Be inside before the sun is fully down, not close to down. If you smell the flowers, you still have time to defend yourself. In Indonesia, expectant mothers sleep with sharp objects under their pillows or mattresses. Scissors, knives, large iron nails. This isn't superstition. It's psychological warfare against a ghost. The cold steel reminds her of her past trauma. It breaks her concentration. It keeps her at bay. If you're carrying a child and must go out anyway, carry something sharp. Scissors, a nail, anything with an edge. Sleep with the same object under your mattress at night. Lock every window, even in the heat, even when it makes the room unbearable by morning. Nobody living remembers exactly why sharp things work. The stories only agree that they do. That whatever happened to her once, long ago, involved something with an edge, and that she has not forgotten it since. There are ways people try to protect themselves. Small objects, sharp ones, placed near doors, under beds. Not because they understand her, but because they fear her. But what if you don't want to just hide? Local mythology states there is only one way to defeat a Kuntilanak. It requires looking pure terror in the eye. There is one way, the oldest tellers say, to end it. A long, sharp nail driven straight into the crown of her skull. Not the chest, not the heart, the top of the head. The one place, it's said, where whatever keeps her walking can finally be sealed shut. You must let her get close, close enough to touch. You have to ignore the smell of rot. Reach into the matted, blood-soaked hair on top of her head and drive a long iron nail directly into her skull. Do this, and she is said to fall still, to become for one suspended moment simply a woman again, the one she might have been if that night had never happened to her. If you succeed, the monstrous visage fades. She reverts into a beautiful human woman, her curse sealed. But there is only ever one chance. If you miss, or if your courage fails, or lose your nerve halfway through, she is free to take whatever she wants from you. The story is clear. She does not forgive a second attempt. She simply keeps walking, and the rule about her cry keeps being true for whoever hears it next. No one in any version of the story has ever claimed they tried. The Kuntilanak isn't just a monster in a movie. She is a cultural mirror, a reminder of the victims the real world fails to protect. A ghost born from human cruelty. It's worth sitting with why this particular story has outlived 100 quieter ones. She isn't feared for being a monster. She was made into one by silence, by men who walked away untouched, by a village that found it easier to look away than to look at what it had allowed to happen. The fear was never really the ghost. It's the shape of what created her, and how little that shape has changed. Which brings us back to you, sitting in your room watching this video. I want you to take a deep breath through your nose right now. Do it. If right now, wherever you're sitting, does your room smell completely normal? Or is there the faintest trace of something sweet? Jasmine. If it smells like flowers, out of nowhere, out of season, don't go looking for where it's coming from. Remember the proximity paradox. Whatever you do, don't look behind you. So here's the rule again, one last time, in case a few minutes was long enough to forget it. Loud means far. Soft means close. And if tonight, in the quiet before you fall asleep, you hear something that sounds like it's crying softly right next to your ear, don't follow the sound. Don't turn around. Don't answer it. Whatever you do, don't let her hear you cry back, because she wants you to. By the time you find her, she's already found you.